morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel L. Connon. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Welcome back from the weekend here. And Apple trading a bit higher. It's up $4. Is the low in? Lucadia buying Jeffries in a brokerage deal. We're going to look at the key upgrades and downgrades, and we're also going to check out your technical outlook on your S&P and top components. Joel, this market bouncing back a little bit there on Friday, and it's up a little bit here this morning.
Yeah, we do have a couple of reference points here in the market. You had Friday's close at 13.75.75, and Thursday's close right at that same area, 75 and a quarter. We're trading $5 above that level right now, as long as we can hold up above 13.75. The only resistance point I have up there is Friday's high at 13.88 even.
And Apple might be leading the charge in either direction. It seems like the market is following Apple here a bit again. Obviously, Friday it did make a new low, got down to 533.72, but hit that in the morning. And like we thought it was due for a bounce back day, and that's exactly what happened. It's now trading up over 550 at 550.19. But I mean, the trend still doesn't look like your friend.
Dennis, I think we had a little bit of our bearish hat on Friday, though. We were perhaps looking for the $500 level.
Well, 530. I like 530. Didn't quite get to the 530 number, though, because I put that on the headline. We were like trying to spell that out, but didn't quite get to the 530 number that I wanted to see. It only got to 533.
Okay, what I did notice going back, the May 21st low in Apple was 534.05. Friday's low got a little bit below that at 533.72. So for your traders that were sticking with the old lows, good for you. You probably got a pretty good buy off here. You could still have that trend line coming in off all those highs. I think once we break above that trend line, we'll get a big rally. We are trading a little bit below Friday's high, which was 554.88. There's really nothing going up to that level, and then your next high is at 562. But we'll see if this low can hold for another couple days, and then I'll get out the calculator and figure out the 50% retracement. Could do it pretty easily. We've had a 160-point down move, an 80-point up move would take us back over 600 to 610, 620.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that, though. And they do have some competition in this space, too, now, like for their iPads, because I was actually in Chicago this weekend, went to one of those Microsoft kiosks where they're selling the Surface, and you know what? I played around with it, and I was actually pretty impressed. I didn't think going in, I was like, well, there's nowhere this is going to have any, comparability to the iPad. Man, I was looking at that. I was with one of my buddies, and believe it or not, one of my buddies bought it there. So actually,
how much was it?
They range $4.99, $5.99, $6.99, depending on how much memory they have and the other parts of it. But for the most part, $500-600. It's right in the same pricing point as the iPad, and it's pretty cool. It's like a little mini desktop. They have an actual keyboard that can magnetically attach to it. I mean, the whole Surface thing, I was pretty impressed. So there definitely is a little bit of competition here for Apple in this space now.
Are you impressed enough to buy back your Microsoft position?
I don't know. I was thinking, maybe I should. I sold it up there around 30, and it's down here, so I could actually scalp a buck by getting back in the position at 28.94 here this morning. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm impressed enough to do that. And to be honest with you, so I went to Microsoft Kiosk, pretty busy, lots of people checking it out. Then I went to the Apple Store, and that place is just a zoo. So many people just checking everything out, people buying stuff. I mean, makes me think, that this Apple is eventually going to have a bottom here, because they might take a bite out of them, but they're definitely not going to be up on that level with Apple, because wow, those stores are packed.
Looking at the Microsoft, just from a technical perspective here, you do have a double bottom in place here at 28.80, 28.81 from Thursdays and Friday. Going back a few more days, you got a low there at 28.50. So you do have a low risk entry here with using that 28.80 as a stop out area. This stock, it always puzzles me. It had that pop over $30 and then kind of sold off with the market. Let's see if it can hold that double bottom or perhaps get back up to that $30 level.
We do have a merger here for you in the brokerage industry. We've got Lucadia buying Jeffries, JEF, and it's up $16.85 is where Jeffries playing. It's a stock deal. 0.81 shares of Leucadia is what Jeffries shareholders are going to get. So obviously now Jeffries will trade off that ALUK price. ALUK trading up 15 cents on it, 21.95, but Jeffries is up solidly at 16.82. Joel.
When is the last time we had a merger in the
It's
brokerage
been a
industry?
while. It's been a while. And obviously, the valuations on some of these things are somewhat attractive. So I don't know if this is going to kickstart more mergers in the brokerage industry or not. But interesting, nice to see, that there is some action in the M&A here because it has been a while in this industry.
Well, who else is left? Who else is there
Well,
left?
in the financial crisis, well, obviously a lot of them got bought up, and not for really valuation reasons, more just to survive. But Jeffries stayed alone there for a long time here, and now it looks like they're going to join up with the big investment banks. So, it,
Taking a quick look at the technicals here in Leucadia, you did have a double top here at the 2204, 2209 level. You did get a spike in the pre-market to 2265, but now we're back under 22. I'd keep an eye on that level. If this can get above and whole 22, I think the street is looking for this to be a good merger, and we could rally back up to Thursday's high at 2273.
we do have lots of upgrades and downgrades here today, but just before we get to those, Celgene I wanted to talk about because on Friday, CELG came out with a positive phase 3 data trial on their pancreatic cancer drug Abraxane. Stock trading up sharply here in the pre-market. It's up 6 points on 111,000 shares at 77.69. So for all you Celgene shareholders that have been holding on, I'm actually one of them as well, for full disclosure. Getting a nice lift here this morning.
Yeah, this is the pre-market chart here is it's kind of tricky here. You've traded some decent amount of volume here. You just have a real steady uptrend here. 77's been the high in the pre-market. I would just keep an eye on that level. Really, if you go to the charts, you really don't have a good resistance point until 78.64, which was the high on October 19th. But if you're thinking of unloading this stock or thinking of trying to short off the open, I would try and sit tight until 925, 926, and see if they just, jack it up right before the real volume
I mean,
comes
this
in.
could be a big drug for the company. There's no doubt about it. It's run up on positive data before, and then they get nervous about it and they sell it off a bit. And now it's looking good again for the drug. If this drug does get to market, this could be good for the drug. There's a rights offering out there, CELG Zebra 2, and that's obviously getting a huge lift to close at 311. It's at $6.25 for you guys who like to trade that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's just going to track off the Celgene price as well. Let's move on to the upgrades and downgrades here. We've got actually BMO Capitals. Looks like it's putting on a pair trade here. They are upgrading Merck and downgrading Bristol Myers.
How often does that happen?
You
I mean,
see
it
it
seems
every
like
once in a while now. Like, we never used to see it at all, but it seems like every once in a while we do see that, where they upgrade one stock in the sector and downgrade another stock.
well, Merck is taking a little haircut here after making a double top right at the $48 level, and that was a multi-year high. We've come down and settled, made a couple lows under 44. 43.62 was a low on Friday. We closed above that. If you're trying to do this for a swing trade, I would use that 43.62 level as a stop out point. In the pre-market, the high's been 44.60. But if you're looking at the daily, Dennis, I mean, there's just not a lot in here going up to 45.67. I mean, I don't think I'd stick my head out. Maybe a little bit of resistance at 44.77, but it's just a lot of air up to that almost that $46 level.
We had this trend line that I've drawn on the thing when the stock was moving up. There was a nice trend line, and that was broken 3 sessions ago. And the stock, when it took out that 45.67 area that you talked about, Joel, and then it just boom, we moved down basically 2 points from there in 3 sessions. Is it overdone for this low beta drug stock? Probably was overdone in the short term. In the long term, who knows here, but you get a little spike up here. People are a little excited. There's an analyst upgrading here this morning, but I don't think it's that much to get excited about. I'd be shocked if this thing you got back up over 46. I think you're going to find a host of sellers in that high 45, 46 area.
Okay, and Bristol Myers has really been taking it on the chin here since July when it hit a multi-year high at 36.34. You are downgrading the stock into a big break here. You did have a low at 31.99 on Friday. Also a low going back in August at 31.88. So look for this whole 31.75, 32 level. I just don't think they're just going to cut right through that level, even with the downgrade.
Yeah, I don't know how much BMO Capital. It's not like it's Goldman or anything. I don't know how much influence they have, but 31.37 was the low of the move on August the 20th, so you definitely want to keep an eye on that. I think you get into 31.75 all the way down to 31.50. You are going to find some support in here. People do look at these stocks as still good dividends, still value plays here, and some of these stocks have been out of favor for the last few weeks. But as they come back into old support areas, I do think they'll find some buyers as well. Disney getting upgraded at Citigroup, obviously having a terrible day on Friday with the earnings. Stock trading down all the way to 40. What was the low there on Friday, Joel? 46.53 before bouncing back a bit at 47.06. Here's a bounce on an upgrade, 47.88. That seems a little bit overdone to me too. But I mean, there's nothing. There's all air in here because we gapped down from the 50 area all the way down to 47. So besides Friday's high, which was 47.95, not a lot of reference points after that.
Yeah, well, you look at a stock that went down on Friday on what 34 million shares,
Yeah,
went down quite a bit, and now it's up in the pre-market three
25,000.
quarters, yeah, at 25,000. So you guys can make your own judgments on that. I would look at if I was playing it from the short side. And it broke above 47.95, which was Friday's high. You do have a lot of air in there, really, to fill the gap up to 49.92. That'd be a
Never
huge move
happen.
for this. Yeah, never, never. We
That'll
can't even make a bet on that one.
nah. Yeah, no touching on that one.
But and coming back on the downside, I mean, you did have that 46.53 low. That coincides with a low that you had in June, on June 25th, my daughter's birthday, at 46.55. So if you're trying to play this on a swing trade and you're waiting to get it on a pullback, perhaps you can see the stock over under 47 over the next couple
Yeah, I
days.
think this is one of those great examples of you're getting a chance on an upgrade to sell a stock that is in that is weak right now overall. So you get a lot of people that were nervous, a lot of people that got hit on when it moved down 3 points on Friday. They're getting a buck back here this morning in the pre-market. I think there's going to be some sellers here, a host of them at 48 bucks, especially once we get closer to the 9:30 open. Johnson and Johnson. Jeffrey's still busy, even though they're getting acquired. They are downgrading Johnson and Johnson here today, and J&J trading down just slightly, 200 shares doesn't seem, but it is offered down at 69.75, so that would put it down at least 12 cents. Imagine the stock will lose 25, 30 cents on the downgrade, but if the stock continues to move down, you do have that low back from October the 16th at 69.02.
Yeah, you have three lows within a pretty close area here, 69.43 to 69.70 were the previous three lows in that stock. I would use that 69.43. If it breaks through there, Dennis, I do see that 69.02 low on October 16th. But, I mean, this stock has just had a heck of a run, when it was trading under $62 back in June, all the way up over 72, getting to 72, 74.
Ridiculously overdone there.
Yeah. A move on that, and wasn't really increase in earnings or increase in drugs or anything. It was just, the upgrade, downgrade. I know Kramer was banging the drum on this stock for a while, but a healthy move for this thing would, maybe come back down and take half of it back, come and trade in the 67 area. But keeping an eye on 69.43 today as a short-term level.
I think eventually the stock is going to see 68 bucks again. It's not going to see it for a while here because the stock moves slow, but now you've kind of broken. We had that huge breakout that Joel just talked about. It's kind of, now trading below there. If you looked at this old trend line here, if I drew this out, obviously it's going to come and then you start getting below 69.50, it starts to open up. There is a lot of support down that $68 area. So I don't know, 69 might be a short-term target where you could maybe try a long for a bounce or something. But if you long-term investors are looking for an entry point into this, I think with the overall market, I think with a little bit more nervousness in it, I think you're going to get a shot down here in the next few weeks down in the $68 level. Another downgrade for you here. Credit Suisse downgrading J.C. Penney. A little late to the party here, if you ask me.
JC, boy, that stock just got slammed after. I mean, that thing was over 20 at near $26. Just back on
Week and a half
October
ago.
23rd. Yeah, wow. Now you made that 1952 low on Friday. You did get a bounce. You got to go back and think about the low on July 18th here at 1906 and the day before at 1909. That's your reference point. Coming back on the upside, boy, it's going to be tough with that big down move, just straight down. There are going to be a lot of sellers in here. I wouldn't look for this stock to start rallying until it can get back above 21.48 and at least hold that on a couple closes.
I've had a couple rants on this from a fundamental perspective in the past, so if you've been listening to me for a while, you know I don't like the company. 2064, trading at 2004 right now. I have no interest in owning this whatsoever. I mean, if you are short the stock, and if you are looking for a reference point, keep an eye on Friday's low, which was 1952. That's 50 cents below here right now, but I just can't see trying to pick bottoms on this thing. There's just too many people that are underwater in the stock, and there's just the fundamentals just aren't good enough for me to get excited about.
Also, you have to think about, and this is just pure conjecture and speculation, but I mean, they brought in this Ron Johnson guy from Apple, to be the savior, and we've been talking about the stock over the last couple years and the pops and drops that it's had, and now this thing, I mean, they're having sales, they're not having sales, they're giving away pictures, they're not giving away. I mean, there seems to be no consistent strategy. They're the only reason I wouldn't want to be long this stock, in my portfolio is what if they come out and boot this guy?
Yeah, we lose another Apple executive. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about the fundamentals in this company because it just doesn't look good. I mean, look at the same store sales. What were they down? Something like 26% year over year. Just ridiculous. They missed by a landslide. I mean, very, very hard. Besides a short squeeze, because a lot of people are short this company, I think that's the only thing that can drive this company higher. I don't see anybody coming and acquiring it unless they want the real estate or something with it because it's a dying business model. They got these big retail clothing stores that are just the stores are just frankly too big. I think they're just too big. Same thing you go back into the whole big box stores. I know they're clothing stores and you got to say, people do go to stores to try on these clothes, but the little apparel retailers are so much, better positioned and there's just a lot of competition in the space too. I think J.C. Penney's a 100-year-old company, just like Sears, 100-year-old company that needs to like reinvent itself somehow and if they don't, they're going to be in trouble. Just one more to talk about. Just going, no upgrades, downgrades, but Coca-Cola here. I wanted to highlight this. We talked about that 36 area on Friday. It did bounce off that area that I thought it might. 36.05 was the low. This big institutional buyer at 36 that's been holding the stock up. That is bouncing back a bit here this morning at 36.40. Coke.
Yep, they stepped ahead just above those April lows. You had four consecutive lows between 35.91 and 35.97. The HFT boys were sticking their head up 36, so that if it gets back down there, it should be good level to look at. Coming back on the upside, 36.52 was Friday's high. Keep an eye on that as resistance because there's not much above that level until you get back to 37.
Just looking at a couple stocks in the Big Ten because it is Monday and a lot of you guys do like to trade the Exxon Mobil. Let's check out, give us a technical there on the Exxon Mobil.
Wow, this thing has really gotten beat up since making a new multi-year high, basically a triple top at 93.67. Made a low at 86.61. We're trading in the pre-market up 20 cents. I think 88 is going to be the number that you got to keep an eye on.
Yep.
87.94 was Friday's high, so all the people have been bottom fishing, over the last 3 days. You come back up to a nice round number, like 88. I think you'll see some sellers there. You get a few closes above 88, and then you can work your way back up towards the $90 level.
A lot of these charts still broken though, so it is tricky to get excited about ExxonMobil or the overall market. I drew the whole old support line here back from going back to August there when you had the whole 1390 to 1395 area as support. I do believe if we get back up into that area, that does become resistance now. We did see the high on Friday was 1388, so keep an eye on that level if you're going forward. What's your take?
Yep, 8150's been the pre-market high. There's not much above that until 1385. Coming back on the downside, I'll just reiterate the double close we had at the 1375 area as to be good support, and the next major support on that will be Friday's low at 1363.
Well, that's our show for today, folks. Have a great trading day, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.